So, sorry guys, I'm back. So now, as I was saying that now this here is a basic database. This is a basic database, only two tables and stuff. But unlike the one that I was showing you now, I was showing you this other database here. So this other database here, this one here is more of a comprehensive database compared to the previous one. The Access one was a very basic database, but this one here now is more of a comprehensive one that has got a lot of tables. This one has a lot of tables, this one here. So already if you see that these are your tables here. So these are all your tables that you have in your database there. These are all the tables that you actually have there, all of them, of which there is a lot of tables. If I scroll down, I can check literally the number of tables that you actually have. We have 191 tables in this particular database. See, so now in those 191 tables that you have compared to the two that we had in the previous database there, this one is 191. So that is what we're talking about when talking about a database then. So when you talk about database, we're just talking about that collection of data. E.g., from the previous example I showed you, collection of data of what? It was collection of data of suppliers and a collection of data of products, and then that was separated. Like here in this app here, we've got a collection of data of various things. We've got staff, we've got students, we've got attendance, we've got actions, we've got application forms, we've got courses, we've got countries. See that this here is data about an entire, like an entire school. This is about the data of the entire school here. So now, if I take it back here to the database that to the document that I open. Now you makes it and it easier to understand what you're talking about when you talk about a database. So now each and every app that you will ever design in your life is going to make use of a database. All apps that we design make use of a database because that information has to be written somewhere. That information has to be stored. That information is supposed to be utilized and to be utilized, especially if you're dealing with login information for clients and things like that. It's supposed to have a database. Even on a website, guys, it's supposed to have a database. That is how it works. So a database is the most, like one of the most important aspects, especially in today's age, in this age of data and stuff. So now, then there's languages that you use there. Database languages are special purpose languages which do one or more of the following. One, data definition language. They define the data types and the relationships among them. And there's also data manipulation languages. And then there's what they call query languages. So we're going to learn all of these languages there. So this one that define the data types, and you need the ones that basically data that manipulate data where they insert, update, and delete, which is basically what SQL does mostly. And then there's query that allows for searching and deriving information. So these are all the ways that you write data in the database there. And then we've got different processes there for in database. The first process there is called abstraction, whereby you're talking about basically the separation or separating ideas from specific instances. E.g., what I was talking about there when I was showing you the databases that you have. Databases always work with abstraction. You have to separate information. You cannot use the same information everywhere. That information has to be different. It has to be spaced throughout. Hence, now, when you're talking about separation, that is what you're talking about there. You are trying to avoid something called data redundancy. That is one thing that you're trying to avoid whenever you're separating information. So abstraction actually helps us to avoid data redundancy. That's what it actually helps us to avoid. So, yeah. And then now abstraction can apply to control or to control data. So control abstraction then is the abstraction of actions, while data abstraction is basically that of data structures. You are separating these aspects there. So now let me do this. I want to show you something because like some of these items here are not exactly clear as to what exactly is being said. But if I'll summarize, if I'll break it down, when you're talking about data redundancy, this is, I mean, data abstraction, this is what we're simply talking about there. We're talking about that aspect there of you utilizing or designing a database in a structure that allows for um, for that allows you to actually avoid data redundancy. That is the main purpose. That is the main reason why we need that abstraction there, so that you do not have data that keep on repeating unnecessarily, and also to avoid deleting the data that you are going to need to delete the data that you're going to need. So um, now notice here they're saying that one can regard the notion of an object from OOP is an attempt to combine abstractions of data and code. You see this? This here, important here. Like if we check, remember if we talk about OOP is basically you programming your code in modules. So now when you're making your code in modules, now when you come to this. So when it comes to this, the like when it comes to this to abstraction. So basically, uh, you've got that data that has been separated when you are designing your project, when you are making modules, because each and every module will perform a specific task. So now, OOP basically tries to take all that stuff and bring them together whenever we call the code at the end. For instance, in the if you check the code that we did on Friday, there's a part where you define a function, and then from there at the end, and then you're going to call that particular function. So that is basically an idea of abstraction working there. So the recommendation that programmers use abstractions whenever suitable is to avoid duplication of code, known as abstraction, as the abstraction people. You see, this avoid duplication. Now, when I'm talking about duplication, this is what I'm talking about when I'm talking about redundancy, that duplication. So a duplication, as I was saying, data redundancy, it is the unnecessary repetition of data. So whether it's code or it's people's data, you always have to try to avoid that unnecessary repetition. Now, that there is one of the main reasons why we use abstractions, because we need to do that. We need to avoid that. Now, because of that, and then there's something called data independence there. This can be explained as follows. Each higher level of data architecture is immune to the changes on the next lower level of the architecture. So technically, here they're simply talking about um, So sorry about so now when we're talking about data independence, so this is what you're simple talking about there. Data independence, we're talking about the separation of what is that? So I saying that that separation there of these architectures there to make them independent of each other. So technically, what saying that the logical structures of data from the physical storage are you taking them and then you dividing them, you separating them, you separating them. Now you are trying to make sure that the changes that are made into the database system, they will not cause errors. Like for instance, if a very good example is if FNB right now decides on updating its data in their database, how would they do that without affecting the normal day-to-day operations of their apps and their bank services? Because now, if there is no data independence, which means every time whenever they are doing an update, they have to close or they have to shut down the entire app or the entire bank so that they can do the updates, and then later and then you come back and then they say we are done, then you guys can proceed. But now because of data independence, now we are able to actually literally update the database while it's at the same time using that particular database. See, so hence now this point here that says the one of the biggest advantages of data of data independence is we can change the conceptual schema at one level without affecting the data at another level. This is what we're simply talking about. So if you change the structure of a database without affecting the data required by the users and the programs, the feature was not available in FIA. Okay, I'm not gonna talk about this. But now the bottom line is you need to understand that data independence allows for that change in the conceptual schema at one level without affecting the data in another level. So technically, you can change the structure of a database without affecting the data that is required by the users or programs. And then now there are two types of um, of this data independence there. The first type is called logical data independence. That is the first type of data independence there. Now the logical data independence is this is a type of data that independence allows changes in the logical schema. So now when I talk about schema is simply talking about the way data is viewed by users or applications. That is the schema. So how exactly do users view and use data? So as long as now in this type of independence, the logical data independence, we're saying that this allows the changes in the logical schema in the way that you view data without affecting the application program that use the data. It means you can simply modify a database structure or remove certain fields or change these fields or change even relationships without affecting the program at all. You notice that? So that is what they call logical data independence. We have gotten to that level now that you can literally be able to modify the logical schema without causing, you see that this is the ability to modify the logical schema without causing the application program to be rewritten, sorry. You see, so if you want to, like here, they even give you here, when market accounts are added to the banking system, you see that. So now remember, market accounts, they change almost each and every second, they change. So now how then do banks keep up? How do they keep up? So banks usually keep up using this particular logical data independence there. And then now the second form of data independence is what they call physical data independence. Now this one here is the ability to change the physical or the ability to modify or change the physical schema or the physical storage or access methods of data without affecting um, the logical schema or the application programs. This is there. So literally, you can change the hard drive without affecting the data that is inside. See? So HE now changing the storage from a hard disk to a solid state without impacting how users interact with the data. So that is basically what this physical independence means. So physical has to deal with the equipment, while this logical has to deal with the software side. So that is the data independence. So now under logical is you modifying the logical schema or how we view our data. You can change the fields, you can change certain properties, you can change keys, you can change the links uh, without affecting the data that is seen and used by the end user or the program. But in the physical data independency, now you can change the physical schema or the physical storage or access methods of data without affecting the logical schema. So you're changing the physical schema um, without affecting the logical schema there or the application programs. So those are the two data independence aspects there. And then from there now, and then we've got data manipulation language, DML. Now under data manipulation language, now they say that this here is a syntax of elements similar to a computer programming language used for selecting, inserting, editing, deleting, and updating in a database, performing only queries of data is sometimes also considered as a component of DML. So now I'm pretty sure you've seen this before, DML. Now, DML works a lot. Like this is one thing that you usually use a lot. And then one popular language of DML is what they call query, um, is what they call structured query language or SQL. That is the most popular data manipulation language that we have. So now I'll say that the most popular language here is SQL. That is the most popular language when it comes to database um, reading, most popular language there when it comes to that. Of which, as I said, that we are going to be making use of SQL, whether we're going to make use of it as MySQL, uh, but we're going to make use of it one way or the other. Okay, so now, as I say that the most common language there is SQL. So, and then they're saying that there are other languages there like IMS, DLI, Codacile, databases and stuff like that. But you hardly ever make use of them unless you find yourself working in a company that deals with this specifically, but hardly ever. So the one to note is SQL, whether SQL or MySQL, but it's still the same thing. So now we know that data manipulation languages, they comprise or they comprises the SQL data change statements there, which modify stored data but not the schema. So you notice that you modify the stored data using SQL. And then how do you do that? Notice here, we've got select from where, and then insert into values, update set where, delete from where. You notice these are the major statements that you deal with whenever you're dealing with SQL there. So you can select certain aspects from a certain table where a certain condition has to be met, or insert into a certain table certain values, or update a certain table, insert a certain field where there's specific conditions that are given, or delete from a certain table where the condition is ABC or whatever that they've been telling you. You see that? So purely read only SQL statement is classed with the SQL data statement that is considered by the standard to be outside of TML. You see, the into form to be considered to be TML because it manipulates data or modifies data in a common practice. So now there are other statements here that are not exactly TML, but they're considered TML because they're simple making use of things like SQL and things like that. So anyway, now when it comes to SQL databases, like you notice that SQL databases are the, as I said, the most widely used databases that you ever encounter. And even when the data is being manipulated there, like data is manipulated in certain ways, and they allow you to be able to manipulate data in a lot of variety ways. But the code is like the simplest code that you will ever be. So when it comes to this the SQL part and how it works with JavaScript, I'm going to show you how these things there, how we actually use that. So anyway, now usually what happens is whenever you're using SQL with JavaScript, you need to interact with the database, obviously, from your JavaScript code. So this is where JavaScript comes into play. It's the one that is actually used to interact with your database. It's the one that use. So you are going to write your SQL code inside the um, of the database. I'm going to show you like in exactly how we make use of that. Let me just go through this business module through this part here, and then from there I'm going to show you how we make that practical. Just give me 1 minute. So as I was saying that now when it comes to the database, that is how we literally connect it to any app there. There are certain languages that we use, obviously. And but one thing is SQL is the widely used language, as I said, and then we'll be making use of that. And then most of you guys here might need to learn Node for the back end part of your database. So which means you guys, I think we'll get some time so that we can also cover a little bit of Node so that you can understand how to link your apps to the database side. We're going to learn a little bit of Node. So because I'm thinking, because I just went back and thought, because last time we had a conversation here with we had a conversation here with Lirato. So, like we had a conversation with Lerato here, and then we were speaking about the aspect of using what you call, I think it was Ajax. But now, like we'll like look at something in that Node, but I would rather have you guys learn Node than for you guys to, to stick on to learning like like most of these technologies that we hardly ever use. But as I said, that you just need like a little bit of background there, but we're going to learn Node so that we can then how to utilize Node and Node.js, because Node is basically JavaScript. If you understand JavaScript, then you can understand Node. And then from there, because like it will be pointless for us to busy, like do something that you guys are hardly ever going to use in the industry. So yeah, um, I hope. I think is Lerato here. Lerato, hi. I see that Lerato is here, but she's not answering my hello. Okay, can you guys hear me? Oh, I'm speaking alone here.
We can hear you, sir.
Oh, we can hear you.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Thank you. Um, oh, Lerato, hi. You're saying something?
I think you were calling me. I'm sorry, my network I've got load shedding, so it goes in and out.
Is it? Yeah. Well, we're back to stage 5 now.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Did you have a question for me?
Yeah, no, I was talking about the database. So I was saying like I just had like a conversation with myself, and then I was thinking like in terms of database, should I let you guys keep on doing should we um what you call this? Should we do thingy like the RGX and things like that? Then in my mind I'm like, you know what? Let me just stick with with SQL, SQL, and then you are just going to learn that. And then from there, and then you are going to join that to JavaScript. And then obviously we might have to do a little bit of HX for these databases, but I would prefer you guys to touch more into industry specific skills for us to do things like Node.js and things like that. I think it will be better for you guys. It will equip you guys better if you do more like industry related skills than something that is there. Because anyway, we're going to touch on it, but I won't allow you guys to stick too much into it, because it's not going to like help you a lot later in the industry, like whenever you're working.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I was thinking of that. I'm like, with this whole XML, JS, and stuff now. So I'd rather have you guys do, yeah, something related to that. Even though we're going to do what you call this JSON, obviously we're going to do JSON. So, but with this JSON that you're going to do, we're going to also deal with JSON and um, our queries and things like that. So yeah, for the rest of you guys, I don't know what you guys think, because most times when I ask questions, I hardly ever get responses. So I don't know what you guys were looking at, but I think it would be better for us to go that way. I see Troy is not around today, so I was going to ask him a question. Let me see who else I can ask here. Matome, what do you think, my man?
So we can move the way you think is the correct way to move.
It's beneficial, right?
Yes.
Okay, awesome, cool. Then I'll move my way. All right, cool. Then as I said, we still have some time. Then we're just gonna go through these modules here, and then we still have time there. So anyway, now next up here is the data module, the data model. I mean, so now in a data model, so if you check here, this is a business data model that we have in this next page here. I'm going to go back to the thing there, but now a data model actually is it's a literally a scenario that we have that shows like how your data relates in like in a business perspective. So if I can put it in simpler terms, or I'm trying to think of a response that I can. Okay, let me just say it's basically a presentation of data in the relationship between the different data components that you have. E.g., you've got this here. Notice you've got a process model, we've got a data model. So a business model is actually made up of those two. So like for instance, you guys have got a project that you're supposed to do. In that project that you're supposed to do, these are some of the aspects that you guys are supposed to look at. You're supposed to look at the business model. Before you can go anywhere, look at the business model first. So what is the business model? And then you know how it's divided. From there, now you can divide that business model into a process model and a data model. Now, a data model there now is that conceptualized presentation of data and the relationship that exists between the different data elements that you have. So and we use them for variety of things there. And there is a bunch of these data models that you actually have. Um, but this here gives you sort of an idea. For instance, we've got data. These are divisions of that data that you have. And then from there, we've got the logical data model. So now when you're talking about the logical data model there, this here model is basically defining how data is structured and organized in a more on a logical level. Like remember what you spoke about when you spoke about the logical level. So a logical level is that basic level there that you have, that basic level of your data, especially the software level of your data there, not the hardware level. So that just describes how that data is actually structured in a logical perspective. So now here they're saying that the data module is based on data relationship, data semantic, and data constraints. So a data module provides the details of information to be stored and is of primary use when the final product is the generation of computer software code for an application or the preparation of functional to aid. You notice here, what you're talking about here is that aspect there of you understanding the project that you're working on. So in your project that you're working on, you need to understand what type of information that you want to store. What exactly do you want to store in your database? Now, when you want to store certain information in the database, it makes it easy for you to design the software according to your specifications because you have sort of an idea of your data and how that particular data is supposed to be structured. So now, data models are often used as an aid to communication between the business people defining the requirements for a computer system and the technical people defining the design in response to those requirements. You see what I was talking about? Like that. This here is basically a communication between the business because it gives you a basic structure on what exactly the business does and what exactly you're expecting. Like for instance, I will expect some questions from you guys based on the application that you guys are going to be making. I will expect certain questions from you guys, but so far I haven't received any questions, so I'm not going to answer any questions. But I was expecting some questions. If someone asked me, like, okay, what exactly am I going to put forward, like in my like when I'm designing my database, like what information am I supposed to be capturing? Those are some of the aspects that you're looking at there. So now we use this to communicate there, and then from there, and then it helps you to, like, organize your data in a way that can be used by everyone there. And then a data model is a way of finding the way of finding tools for both businesses and IT professionals. We set as a symbol precisely like that. And then they also help you to determine the data structures. You see that this here is very important here to determine the data structures, because you need to know how your data structures, like when you're talking about data structure, you're talking about things like tables. How exactly are your tables supposed to be structured? What fields am I supposed to put in my tables? Those are some of the aspects that you're talking about there when you're talking about these data models there. What fields, and then in those fields, what type of data types am I supposed to put in? You see that? So that is what we're talking about when we're talking about the determining this the structure of your data there. So now, and then designing database access for a computer application using SQL. So now, how then do you do that? How do you define, how do you design that database application using SQL? So now, for us to do that now, there are certain aspects that we need to look at there. Now, observe here. We've got sort of an index design. Okay, let me just go back here to the top. So simply indexes here. Now, when it comes to a database, when it comes to SQL, like SQL, um, there are certain conditions for you to make use of SQL. So one is there certain softwares that you need to install for you to be able to use your SQL properly. So, like for instance, to use SQL, especially with JavaScript here, so we know that there has to be like an interaction between the database and your JavaScript code. So now, and then for you to do that, basically one is to set up a database. You need to have a database system that you have like MySQL and stuff like that. So my recommendation is download in MySQL actually, download MySQL. So let me do this. Let me share my entire screen so that I can show you how to download MySQL. So for you to download MySQL, I'm going to do my entire screen. So now what we have here is MySQL. This one here is heavy. It's a very heavy software. So like not like mighty heavy. Don't take it like that. But okay, this is where I'm supposed to go. Anyway, now this is the page that you're going to get. You notice there's a page there, MySQL downloads or MySQL installer. This is the one that I actually wanted there. But I clicked on the first one there. Notice it says downloads there, and then scroll down. Now, when you scroll down here, there are certain uh, items that we have, but the one that we want is this one here, MySQL Community TPL, MySQL Community TPL downloads. This is what we want. See my screen moving a little bit slow, so I'll just wait for it so that you guys can have it. Yeah, there we go. So we're looking for this one here at the bottom. So you're going to click on it. MySQL Community GPL. And then from there, now this is what you're going to get. And then the one that you're looking for is MySQL installer for Windows. That one there, MySQL installer for Windows. Because you guys are using Windows, so this is the one that you're going to be making use of. So you're going to click on it. And this is by Oracle, just like your Java. You notice there's a version there, and then there you go. You've got Microsoft Windows there. This is the one you want, and then the latest version that you want is 8.03. And then from there, and then you are going to download. I'm not downloading the MSI. I'm going to download this one here, the one that is 300 megabytes. You can download the 2.4 if you have internet full time, and then you can install it. But this one here is more like an online installer. It's a web installer. This one here is an offline installer. This one comes already pre-made. So, and then you're just going to download whichever one that you feel like downloading. I'm downloading the smaller one, but you guys, I recommend that you download the second one, which is the 331 megabytes file. So when you download it, so that even if you do not have internet, and then you can always install it. So if your internet is got problems, so wherever you can get like proper internet, then you are going to make use of that. So, as I said, we're doing this one step at a time, so that you guys can understand. I'm just waiting for this thing to show because it's taking its time. Internet here is a little bit slow also as well. So you guys will liaise with me there for a second. Oh, okay. There we go. They want me to log into my Oracle account, obviously. You guys have got Oracle accounts. You created them. I remember that very well when you downloaded Java at one point. Actually, I don't need to sign in. Let me just go back. I don't need to sign in. Nope, no thanks. Just start my download. I'm gonna take that option there. No thanks. Just start my download at the bottom. That one there. No thanks. Just start my download. You can see that. I just clicked on that. Here. So for me, my computer gives me a bit of problems these days when it comes to downloading. It wants me to go to the, okay, let me copy this and let me go to the incognito mode so that I can literally download that. So I'm just gonna download it from this side, and then it will allow me to download, because other side, I don't know why it's refusing to download. There we go. And then I'll just leave it in my downloads there, save. And then I think it's done. Nope, it's not. Okay, there we go. So it's done now. Now I can go back to my downloads, and then I'll find it. Okay. Oh yeah, it's inside here. And yeah, there we go. My SQL installer. Then I'll just install it. Run. So that is MySQL. You guys need to just install this. So you're gonna install this, and then so that we can start with making use of. If let's say you need to make to create an app, when you're creating an app to make use of a database, you will need an SQL server, of which this here gives you that particular server, because this is for you to create a server. So for those of you that want to design apps that will make use of a website of a database, obviously you're going to need that. And then you see that, and then you've got server only, you've got client only, you've got full, and you've got custom. I'll recommend full, so that you can have uh, so that full brings you both server and client. So it brings you both. So now installs the products available there, which is make sure server, shell, router, workbench, documentation, samples, and everything. This gives me everything. This is what I want. So I want that, the full the full package there. And then next, and then notice these are the ones that it's going to install for me, all of them there, because the one that I need the most is basically server, but I will need all of them here so that they can work together. And then from there, install, and then let it run. For those of you that download the 330, it's not going to do this. It's not going to download and progress like this. It's going to take a few seconds here for it to finish. But here I have to download from the internet and then go through that whole internet thing. But anyway, this is how it goes. So now I'll go back to my module here. So let me do this, and then I'm going to give you the link on your let me send you the link on your thingy on this chat here. Okay, I think I got the link and then I pasted it on the chat. There you go. So you guys have the link on the chat there for just downloading straight, and then you, but this one is my version, that smaller one that you can download over the internet. So if you want the other full version, it's basically the same way. Let me see if I can. Okay. If you want the other version here, I'm going to show you, I'll send you the link as well. Okay. This here is for the full version. It's for the full version. I hope you guys got that link there. Yeah, I hope you guys got the link. So the first one, the one at top, is for what you call the online downloads, And then the second one here is for the offline downloads. That's what these links are for. So yeah. So now, when you go back here, now we can create literally databases. So when you talk about the design there, this is what we're simply talking about the design there, the cute. So now, given the fundamental importance of indexes in databases, it also comes as a surprise how often the proper design of indexes is neglected. Notice here they're busy talking about the aspect of indexes here. So now, here they're saying that one of the most important routes to high performance in an SQL Server database is the index. The index speeds up the querying process by providing swift access to rows in the database tables, similar to the way that an index helps you to find information quickly in a book. Like you're pretty sure, like you guys have seen indexes in books. Like index is just that thing that you find on your page on the site, if you're reading online. But if you are reading from a book, there you've got your contents page, basically, which is more like an index page. So indexing is very, very, very important, especially when it comes to this. Hence, now when you're talking about these SQL Server 2005, 2008, this is basically what you're talking about there, these servers here. So now this my SQL Server or MySQL there deals with these particular servers there. So now we're going to look at this in practical sense there. But when it comes to index structure there, indexes are created in the columns, on the columns in tables or views, of which you guys need to see that for you to be able to understand that. Let me see if I can get that index structures. Okay. Yeah, I'm not finding anything. Yeah. So anyway, now I'm not finding anything generally, but anyway, when we're talking about index structures, this is basically what we're talking about, like something that looks like this, and this is one of these index structures in an what you call in an SQL server. This is something that you're talking about there. So now I'm pretty sure also another question that you guys are asking yourself is what is an SQL server? What is an SQL server? Um, so now what I'm gonna do is tomorrow. Uh, hopefully I'll be feeling a little bit better. Tomorrow I am going to prepare a slide that talks about these SQL servers and then talking about all these the index design and stuff, and then so that we can have a lot of pictures so that at least it's easier for you guys to see and to utilize the information that you guys actually have. So it would be easier for you to be able to marry the content and the terminologies, because we still have to talk about, remember, the databases, we still have to talk about queries, what exactly is a query, multi-level indexing, we still have to talk about all this stuff here. Notice all this. This is still part of the indexing there, the tree indexing and things like that. So we still have to look at all these things there. And then at the same time, once we talk about them, then we'll be writing code to access data using SQL. And then we're going to define what each and every item does. And we're going to also marry SQL and JavaScript. We're going to do that, which means tomorrow we have some bit of bits and a lot of work for us to go through. So, are there any specific questions that you guys want to ask before we can close up here for today? Are there any specific questions?
Mr. TC,
Yes, yes.
for the installation, like, okay, can I share my screen?
Yeah, sure. Share your screen.
Yeah, which option should we choose? This one or this one?
Okay. So it's asking you about the server configuration. So let me see. Server, dedicated computer, development computer. Use the development computer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. And then next. Okay. Can you go back? Because your screen, I'm only seeing half your screen. Can you move your screen to the center? Because I'm seeing some. Move your screen to the center. Okay, go back. Go back. Okay, go back. Okay. Wait. Wait. Which one did you choose to download?
The 300 one.
Oh, okay. So it gave you that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool. So okay, let's just proceed then together. Okay, and then development computer pipe. Yeah. Go on. And then yeah. Then next again. And then just create the sort of a thingy, a password. Just create a password then.
Next.
Yeah.
Next.
Hmm. Execute. Yep.
Yeah. No.
finish. So you're done, and then from there, and then we just have to deal with the aspect of how to what you call how to create and use the workbenches and things like that for the SQL. This is basically where we'll be starting on from.
It looks like
So
Ubuntu.
yeah, it looks like Ubuntu, but remember, you are here is basically creating some sort of server. So yeah,
Oh, okay. So
yeah.
are we gonna code like it's what's this? Like with what do I say?
Uh, here we're not
Like
coding.
CD root
Here
and
we're not
whatnot.
coding on SQL. SQL, not necessarily. SQL, we're creating a database. Like we're creating a database here, from this. This is what we'll be using to create databases. And then from there, after creating those databases there, and then we are going to, obviously write some server-side code and things like that for us to be able to access that information from the database. So yes, we're going to make use of a little bit of code for us to be able to link that database and the app. So this is where we'll be starting from tomorrow. So tomorrow we're starting from here.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, Lerato. All right, so guys, if there's no further questions, then let's just close it here today, and then tomorrow, like as I said, that you guys still need to finish that whole installation process, and then just go through that entire installation process and finish that, and then tomorrow, and then you are going to start, because we're doing both theory and the practical almost simultaneously, and then from there, and then as soon as we are done, and then we can just continue doing what we need to do. All right. Um, have a good day, guys. Then we'll talk tomorrow.
Bye, everyone.